whole lot of loving is what we'll be bringing. We'll make you happy.
Hello and welcome to episode 11 of Schools with Heart. Today I'm going to share an indispensable SEL tool that I've used with phenomenal results for many years to teach my students self-discipline, to teach them to control themselves. As you know so well, that one thing alone, kids in control of their own behavior, changes everything in a classroom. Long ago, in the early days, I was the one in control. I was very much an authoritarian. In fact, I was a dictatorial teacher. Yes, it's really true. That was the first 15 years. And student teachers were actually directed to observe me for the sole purpose of seeing how well I controlled my students. They went away impressed, very impressed. And of course, I was very impressed with myself. Those were the days when pride ruled, the days when humility was a foreign concept. Yes, my students respected me, more out of fear than love. I was the queen of fear-based classroom control. Never once did I ever consider that my students needed to learn one of the basics of emotional intelligence, that is, to control themselves, to develop self-discipline. Those days are long gone, thank goodness, but I remember them well. I forgave myself, but I haven't forgotten. Teachers who hold the reins tightly do it out of insecurity. They're afraid they'll lose control of the class. So I speak from experience when I say, I've come a long way, a very long way. Today I hold the reins lightly, and as my students prove they're learning to control themselves, I let go of the reins altogether whenever possible. How do I teach my students to control themselves? It begins on the first day of school. I ask the question, who's tired of adults controlling you? All hands shoot up. By 7th and 8th grade, kids want more freedom, more independence. But many, if not most of them, don't know how to achieve it. In that first discussion, usually on the first day of school, I passionately express my desire never to control them. I make it crystal clear. I tell them I'm not a policewoman or a babysitter unless they make me be one. They understand and believe that their new teacher is sincere. She wants with all her heart to liberate them. But they also get the clear message that anyone who can't control themselves will be on a very tight rope in my class. They leave that first day knowing that I mean what I say, that I'm not a pushover, and I have already gained their respect in a few short hours. Kids want a teacher who can control the class and create a positive learning environment. But they want one who can do it with kindness and respect. That reminds me of Teddy Roosevelt's quote, "Walk softly, but carry a big stick." Next, I introduce the Who's in Control poster. This poster is not, as you can see, it is not complete. This is the way it is when it comes out from Kinko's. So this gal is a clip art. She's right from clip art, and I adore her. And it just says Who's in Control. This is Miss Wiltshire. I talk about that in a minute. But this just is the perfect image of the old-fashioned teacher with the ruler in hand who is absolutely the authoritarian dictator in the classroom. So it's a fun poster, and all I have to do now is color it and glue it on and put it on poster board. I tell them that the teacher in this poster looks like my 7th grade teacher, Miss Wiltshire. I tell them that she never smiled once all year. Can you imagine that? That we called her Miss Witch. I'm being funny, but I'm getting my point across. I don't want to be a Miss Wiltshire, but I will if they make me. Because, like it or not, they're in my class to learn, and kids who don't control their behavior do not learn. I've probably been talking at that point for 20 or more minutes on that first day. It's time to stop and ask, who's been controlling yourself the whole time I've been talking so far today? How do you know? What did it look like? Did you have to make yourself listen? That's called self-discipline. Time to introduce the quote, self-discipline is doing what you should do when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. That's a quote I repeat until they can say it by heart. They memorize it. And then by around late September, I can ask, what is self-discipline, class? And they can chant it with enthusiasm. The next step is to show them what will happen if they don't control themselves. This will most likely come on day 2. Kids can only listen intently for so long, and then they need a break. Day 2 starts with review. What do they remember about our discussion on self-control from the day before? I call on as many kids as possible to encourage full class participation. I tell them I want to know how they feel about what I said. Did they think about it when they got home? Did they tell their parents about it? One question naturally leads to another. You know how that works. The idea is the more we talk about it, repetition, the more they understand me and trust my motives. After the review, it's time for training the troops. I want to prepare them for what they can expect from me if they choose to not control themselves. Notice I said choose to not control themselves. I understand that every year we have more and more students with special needs. I get that. I work with them individually. That's another story for another day. But generally speaking, when I say training the troops, I mean the vast majority of the students in the class. Very few kids absolutely cannot control themselves. Most out-of-control kids just haven't really tried hard enough yet. They haven't been sufficiently motivated to work on it yet. Now, back to day 2 training the troops and what they can expect if they don't control themselves. I asked for a volunteer to help me pretend. Who's brave? I may have to coax a little. It depends on the class from year to year. So with everyone watching, I asked my brave volunteer to do something that looks like he's off task, that he's not doing what he should be doing. In this case, listening to the teacher. In other words, he's not in control. Maybe he starts talking to the person next to him, or he puts his head on his desk, or starts playing a game in his Chromebook. Any number of things. I stop the class with a signal. One of mine is, all eyes on me. I ask the student, right in front of everyone, Johnny, can you tell me what I just said? And I instruct him to say, no, Miss LaField, the truth is I wasn't listening. To which I reply, thank you for the truth, Johnny. And then I ask, who's in control? To which I tell him to reply, you are, Miss LaField. With that, it's over. No reprimand, no words, simply and kindly, thank you for the truth, Johnny. Then I move right back into my lesson like nothing ever happened. But Johnny got the message without a reprimand. He knows what he should do now without me telling him. It's his choice. You may be asking yourself if I embarrassed Johnny in front of the class. Yes, he may be a little embarrassed, but the rest of the class doesn't feel that I disrespected him because I handled the situation with love, with patience, with a calm demeanor. And that's the key to why this system works. I'm not mad at Johnny. I'm simply holding my bar high. My desire is to teach him self-discipline. So here's a simple dialogue that gets repeated, repetition, virtually every day of the year. Can you tell me what I just said? No, Miss LaField. The truth is I wasn't listening. Thank you for the truth. Who's in control? You are, Miss LaField. Including the word truth here is vital. Not only am I teaching Johnny to tell the truth, I'm teaching him to hold himself accountable to the truth. In other words, he's taking responsibility for his behavior. That's character education and emotional intelligence at its finest. Now, I'm hoping that you're wondering about the next big question. What do I do when Johnny keeps failing to control himself? I watch him from the corner of my eye, not like a hawk, but just so that he doesn't notice. And if he's off task again, we go through the same exact scenario, to a T. No reprimands, just peace and love. But now he knows he's been caught twice. Hopefully he cares. He wakes up and wisely chooses self-discipline. But what if he doesn't? Now it's time for tough love. Now it's time for me to take control. In my mind, I was already prepared for Johnny to strike out. I already knew where I would move him. I asked the class to quietly read or work on something as I helped Johnny find a new placement, a new seat. I'm being kind. I assure him that the minute I see that he's choosing to control himself consistently, he'll earn the freedom of moving back. That's important. I don't want Johnny to construe the move as punishment. I assure him that I hate controlling him, but that he forced me to take over. Does he see that? In almost every case, in my experience, the student moves with little resistance. They know the truth, whether they want to verbally admit it or not. But no matter how the child responds, my part is to respond with love, albeit tough love. Never shame a child. Never make a child feel like they're bad. Never make a child with a problem child. Years ago, I created a powerful tool that motivates my students to control themselves. It's called the Skills of Independence, and I will soon be telling you all about it, just a few videos from now. For now, I leave you with 2 questions on which to reflect and ponder. Who's in control in your classroom? Is your classroom management fear-based or love-based? We know which one is best for kids. Remember, we're in this together. You're not alone. Leave me a comment and let me know how I can help. And please, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video. Until I started this channel, I never understood how important that is. It's all about the internet algorithms. The more times a video gets subscribed, liked, and watched, the more times it gets viewed because of the internet algorithms. Not a very good explanation, but you get my point. Oh, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss my latest video. Until next time, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.